Okay, so again, this is Joanne Thomas. I'm the Marketing Services Manager for Longleaf Services. And today we're going to look at Ingram's Lightning Source CPDM portal. And the CPDM portal stands for Custom Print and Direct Mail. It is affectionately known as the Journals portal because that's how it started out. It was originally a sort of a trial, I guess you'd say, to see if the community out there would like to print journals. It was separated from the books portal, which many of y'all use to print your books with at Ingram, because the books portal is driven by ISBN, whereas journals, of course, they have ISSN sometimes, but they don't have, they're not ISBN driven. At least most of them are. Some of them haven't. So the idea was to create a portal that served some of the same function as books, but then had additional functions related to journals. So when I show you the portal itself, you'll see that there's a lot of information there that, looks like a journal type setup. Because, and you can do journals through this. There are companies that do. So we can use this to print journals. But a lot of us are using it to do other things with, primarily catalogs, seasonal catalogs, subject catalogs, those sorts of printing jobs, promotional pieces. And this is kind of where we're encouraging people to be creative. So if you have, say, an annual report that your university is going to do, that's a good thing to put through this. Anything that you could think of that would fit within sort of a bookish type binding experience. We don't do things like brochures that are tri-folded and things like this. This is more of a book type presentation. It actually runs on the same presses that the books are made on. So that's what you're tied to, and that's why your print jobs would be related to a book type of presentation. Another thing we're looking at, if you haven't figured this out, I'm going down my list of uses here for the portal. Another thing that we're looking at is, and we just talked, I believe it was to Notre Dame, Jen was talking to them about Edelweiss. For those of you that are using Edelweiss or are interested in being in Edelweiss, they have a document builder, which allows you to take all of the information that you have about your books in Edelweiss and put it into a pre-formatted template that basically spits out a catalog on the other end. So you don't, and it's partially styled, so you don't have to recreate necessarily a design catalog every time. You can use Edelweiss to drive it for you. So we're looking at using that in conjunction with the CPDM. And whether or not it's an automatic thing that it goes straight from Edelweiss to CPDM, I don't think that's available yet, but certainly making your documents in Edelweiss and downloading them and then uploading them to CPDM is certainly a doable thing. So we can, if anybody's interested in that, just let myself or Jen know, and we'll see what we can do with that. The other thing we've talked about is, and if any of you were at our Ingram Summit not too long ago in Nashville, is the kitting service. And what this means is you'll be able to put information, say a flyer or something like that, stuff it in there with your arcs or galleys, which is the one other type of printing job I haven't discussed, and that is a lot of our presses are using the CPDM portal to use for their arcs and galleys, which is very useful. But a lot of people like to have information in there. So we're trying to get a kitting established so that you can add extra information in at the Ingram level. It doesn't have to ship back to you. They put it all together there and ship it out. So those are the basic uses we're looking at with this right now. Does anybody have any questions or any comments about this? Any other uses that y'all see or have at this point? Nope. Okay. I'm going to move on along then. And I'm going to actually show you a little bit of the portal. I'm going to do this fairly quickly so you can just sort of see this isn't an in-depth thing. It just basically shows you how you would load a document into the portal. Now, I can give you the information if you don't already have it. That's the login, your file creation guide, all that information I have. So if you need that and you don't have it yet, just let me know and I'll send it to you. So we all have the same login. Everybody that's a Longleaf client is sharing the same space in Lightning Source. So you would basically log in using the information I sent. This first screen is blank. Basically, it's just a sign-in screen. What you're interested in is titles. This is where you're going to load up your document to have it printed. You'll see everybody there. You've got Cornell, there's LSU, there's University of Georgia, Notre Dame, whole bunch of people. And you'll also see this 3-digit code, not a digit, it's an alpha, right here. So every press will be assigned a 3-character code, and in every single field, in every file name you upload, you need to include that 3-character code because that's how we're tracking and we're keeping separate who's who within the portal. Now, the first couple of times you do this, of course, you'll have to step through all the instructions I send and all that. Please know that I'm always here to help you if you need me. I never mind having to answer questions about this. I am a user of myself of this portal. I've used it quite a bit, so I know what its quirks are, and I know what you have to watch out for, and all that sort of stuff. So, I'm here to help you out. So add a new title. So basically, the only thing you need to worry about is anything with a red star by it, okay? All of the rest of this stuff is primarily there for journals, so you don't need to worry about it. So quickly, I'm going to put in our Longleaf promotional booklet. Okay. Now there is one other thing that it's nice to have here, and I've got this in my instructions, but see where it says sponsoring organization? We do like to have that as well. So you don't have to remember that, it's in the instructions. So save. All right. Again, think about this kind of journal-y like. It has issues. So consider whatever job you're putting in an issue. So you click issue, add a new issue. And here, again, very journal-y, year, volume, issue. You're just going to kind of have to fake it here. Use your code and then some other identifier that makes sense to you. So put that in. And personally, I just use the same one. Okay. We automatically go to final copy here. Trim sizes. Note, there are various trim sizes, and occasionally Ingram will incorporate a new trim size. So we try and keep an eye on that because when it first started out, there was only like 3 or 4, and now you can see how many there are. So, the book the ARC that you thought might not have an exact match for its size may indeed have a match now. So just look to that. A little idea about arcs and galleys. It depends upon how much tolerance you have for this, but Ingram's suggestion, if you don't see a size here, is to, float it on white and put it in there. But the system will not do that for you. You have to provide the file that has it, with the white surround that brings it up to the size that you'd like to have. So I'm going to see, I think I'm 7 by 10. You have your interior color, binding type, laminate type. Yeah, I think we're doing black and white. And paperback. And I like the matte. I think matte is really, oh, this is your cover. So matte's really pretty on the cover. And then you say save. And then it gives you your cover and contents file upload. So the covers are 2 separate files. The covers have to be spreads. Okay? The interiors, single pages. Okay, upload. Whoop, I got it backwards. I do that all the time. Contents first, then cover. Hello. That went anyway. Okay, and then save. All right, your file's in. That's all you have to do to put your file in. And then after you're done with that, you can upload a mailing list or you can go straight to placing your order. Add new order. Again, your 3-digit code. Okay, now this is a trick right here, shipping. You want to make sure that you get the shipping levels correct. You've got a customer preference, what would appear in your mailing list, or if you put in an individual or a group of individuals, or you can force them all to go to the same shipping type. And you would do that by doing this here. We encourage people very strongly to either pick standard, or if you're in a super rush, pick expedited. Economy is not necessarily traceable and is definitely not insured. So and that's a slow boat to China kind of thing right there. All right, so I would go with standard. Now, if you've got some huge bulk shipments and you're running into questions about how much they would be and you're really worried about it and you've got lots of time, then we might consider economy, but we really try and steer people away from that. Okay, so you've got your name in, click save. Add your item, and this is the file that you just uploaded, so you can do a search. Put that one in, say add selected. Okay. And then if you've got a mailing list, you can put it in, and it has a really sophisticated address checker there, so that's good. I'm going to put myself, again, it remembers addresses you put in. All right. Again here, look, we got 2 quantities going on here. All right, you want to stick with this quantity. This one can be used. If this is 0, you go into purgatory. Okay, your whole order gets like into the ether. So please keep that at least 1. And then over here, you can change this to say, I want to do 20, and I want to do standard. So save. Okay. And save. And then right here, this green this green button, that's the magic button. So if I click place order, this is where you put in your PO number and then your contact address. We encourage, again, use that 3-digit, or excuse me, 3 alpha here. The email address you put in here, that is who will receive the confirmation that the order has been placed. All right. Once you learn how to do this, I think I've gotten it down to maybe 5, 6, 7 minutes tops. It's actually very quick. And if you get into any trouble at all, or you feel like the order hasn't gone through, or you're worried about the delivery, then you just contact me and then I can call the hotline to Ingram and they'll look at the files for us. Okay? I went through that really fast. There is a detailed instruction sheet that most of you have that you can refer back to. Of course, we're taping this too, so you can look at it as well. But does anybody have any questions, any things you've run into trying to use the portal that you'd like to ask this time? No? Yes? Okay. All right. Moving on. Some best practice tips or some quirkinesses, I should say, about the portal. For those of you that have used it, I think you know that it has no PDF proofing system yet. So the way we get around that is you let me know the first couple of times, and you can keep doing it if you want to, but definitely the first couple of times, or if you do a new type of job. And I will have Ingram physically look at the files there, and they will let us know if they see anything that doesn't look right. And then once you get more comfortable, used to it, that sort of thing, then, you know, a lot of times we just put them straight through without worrying about it too much. But that's how we're handling that at this point. There's no cover template per se for those spreads. We use the book spine calculator, which I can send you the link. It's also in the instructions to add your spines on your thicker jobs. But basically, you lay those spreads out in whatever page layout program you use. File creation guide goes over all of the settings for your PDF. When you're PDFing things out, you'll want to make sure you look at those closely. I would also like to point out something that I ran into just the other day. These are perfect bound, and for the people that are book people, this is really common. But as a marketing designer, I tripped up on it. You do need, they ask for a half-inch clearance around all sides of your print job. But for the spine, you need to add an extra 1/8 because that perfect bound eats up part of your gutter. So you'll just heads up, because I ran into the other day. I didn't leave quite enough room on a gutter, and it looked a little bit tight. Didn't look bad. It's not wavy printing or anything. And yes, Lynn's asking if I could send them the link to the spine calculator. And so I will definitely do that. Anybody that wants to have that, we can send that. So turnaround times. I have had just recently a job delivered in less than a week using expedited shipping. If you have a job that there isn't an expediting like part of the portal, like the printing is not necessarily expedited, but the shipping is. But I found that if I have told Ingram, you know, look, this is an expedited shipping, then it seems to expedite everything, or at least that's what it feels like. So please let me know if you have an expedited job, and I will alert Ingram right away that this is expedited shipping, and they will watch it all the way through and make sure that it gets to where it's supposed to go. So, you know, just be aware of that. If you're using standard shipping, it probably takes up to about 2 weeks to get your job back. During the rush season, which is from, say, November, December, the first part of January, it can take even a little bit longer than that. Again, if you have a situation where you've got to have it, let me know and I'll do what I can to get it. But that's probably pretty obvious, but that's the time they start to really hyperventilate about having a lot of jobs in the system because they're so pressed printing all the books for Christmas and whatnot. There's also a pretty big rush around the second part of book production, in the spring. But that one's not nearly as big as the one in November and December. If you have any large orders, large catalog orders going through during that November, December period, then definitely let me know. Otherwise, they could get really slowed down. Again, watch that economy shipping because that is like really slow. If it is going over a international border, like to Canada, you can't track it. So if it gets stopped at the border, it's almost impossible to figure out what's going on. Ingram has been super, super nice about trying to make those jobs right if they don't get what they're supposed to go. But I have found in the past year that the shipping has become crazier and crazier, and a trackable version is really the way to go if you can do that. International borders. There is a UK portal for this. It's the same URL, but you'll have a different login. I believe Georgia has printed some through there. And so a lot of the things are the same. There may be one thing that's different regarding the cover. I have to track that down. I'm not sure where that one ended up with Georgia. But at any rate, if you want to ship in Europe, this is the way to go because that way you're not paying for the long distance shipping. It's the same portal. You get the same benefits. It's just that it's printed in the UK. Okay, somebody's asking me to expand the screen here. Is that better? Okay, yes, better. Okay, I'll stop a second, seeing as how I've been talking a lot and really fast. Does anybody have any questions? Any questions about the UK portal? Anything to interject at this point? Nope. We all there? Okay. The last thing I wanted to talk about, sort of in a general way, is sort of these are all together. Overcoming resistance to using the portal, pricing, and a sample print job. David Acock says this is really, maybe y'all can see the print here, but it says this is a really great system for printing arcs. They look much better than bound galleys. So that's really good to know. I'm glad people are really thinking about utilizing this for arcs and galleys. You just save so much money. That's the thing. As a designer, I originally started out, of course, as a marketing designer and still do quite a bit of it. And, I've been back in the day when everything was super glossy and it was all super designed and, printed on really expensive paper. And, we printed thousands and thousands of them and all that. And, times have changed. We promote our presses and our books in a lot of different avenues now. So we've had to make some adjustments as how we handle these, things that are printed, like our print catalog. And I'll admit, I was as resistant as anybody at first. I was worried about the quality. I was worried about dependability. I was worried about everything you could be worried about. And of course, I don't work for Ingram. I don't represent them. I am here to assist Longleaf clients. So I'm going to give you the straight up on, how I sort of overcame it and what I see. First of all, you just got to look at the numbers. I mean, the price difference is pretty incredible between doing a job through here and doing one at one of your other printers. I actually have fallen in love with their matte cover. The glossy is really nice too, but the matte in particular, the color, it really holds color nicely. The interior papers, they're working on those. If I were you, I would there's 50 pound and there's 70 pound. The 70 pound is really only just marginally more expensive. I mean, really marginally than the 50 pound. So if you're printing pieces that's important that you have a little bit more color saturation on the interior, have a little bit better hand on the paper, I would just go for the 70 pound. There's really no reason not to. The cost, like I said, I can run the numbers for you between the two, but seriously, you should just do the 70 pound. Is it the super glossy, super thick, super, that we used to have? No, no, it's not exactly like that. I believe they may be looking at a gloss option for the interior, but again, it's cost versus what you're getting. And I think that it's just worth it. You can do the same type of designing that you used to do, um, as long as you have a really good look and design. It actually translates very well to this. So if any of your either directors or your designers or anyone at the press is going, I don't want to do this for whatever reason, let me know. We can run up some prices on various jobs you think you might have, let you compare. I can send you some sample prints. We can get you some sample prints of various things so you can see the difference in how they look. Um, so honestly, I think it's just a no-brainer to use this as much as you can. And the only thing that still remains a pause for me is the shipping. Um, that economy shipping is just not, and I'm hoping we can end up with some more shipping options there, although certainly the standard and the expedited seem to be working fine. Unless UPS screws up, which they did once or twice, but that was not related to Ingram. And Ingram did try to do their best to help us with some of that. Um, that's about all I have for today. I'm hoping that some people might have some questions or some ideas. If you would like to pipe up, I can go ahead and turn the recording off, and then we can just have a quick little discussion. So, as I said, I'm going to turn the recording off right now.